Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Augusta. We are a liberal religious tradition of many theologies and shared values. And this morning's Mother's Day service is presented by our Goddess Group, which is a women's spirituality gathering that discovers and explores the many aspects of the divine feminine. So some of the aspects of this service may be a little different. And we'll begin with our opening hymn by honoring our great mother, the earth upon which we live and move and have our being. Here's David Netchess, our music director.
Good morning, everybody, and happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. And our opening hymn is appropriately titled, Mother, I Feel You. It's in number 1070 in the Teal Book. And we are led this morning by our worship associate, Jezebel Anat.
Mother, I feel you under my feet. Mother, I hear your heartbeat. Mother, I feel you under my feet. Mother, I hear your heartbeat. Hey, 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 oh. Hey, 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 oh. Hey, 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 oh. Mother, I hear you in the river song, eternal waters going on and on. Mother, I hear you in the river song, eternal waters going on and on. Hey, 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 oh. Hey, 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 oh. Hey, 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 oh. Hey, 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 oh. Mother, I see you in the eagle flies. Light of the Spirit gonna take us higher. Mother, I see you in the eagle flies. Light of the Spirit gonna take us higher. Hey, 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 oh. Hey, 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 oh. Hey, 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 oh. Hey, 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 oh.
And so, a couple of reminders for those in the sanctuary to please keep your masks on. And for ventilation purposes, we are required to keep the doors and windows open. So there may be a little ambient noise. We're going to do our best to work around it. Those of you on Zoom, speaker view is your best experience, and please stay muted. And now for our church announcements, here's our board member, Natalie Reese.
Good morning. A reminder that Sunday RE classes for school-age kids grade K through 5 have resumed, meeting from 10:10 to 10:50. The Zoom link and other information are in your e-announcements. The Humanist Freethinkers group will meet today at 5 p.m. online. Tim Nelkin will present on the book Entangled Life: How Fungi Make Our Worlds, Change Our Minds, and Shape Our Futures by Merlin Sheldrake. It proves to be a fascinating presentation. Contact Frank Carl for information. The UU Monday Meditation Group gathering will meet online and face-to-face in the sanctuary in a hybrid meeting tomorrow evening, May 10th from 7 to 8:30 p.m. Contact Elizabeth McNabb or Melanie Roberts for information. Individuals who are interested in meeting in person in the church on Monday nights, please get in touch with Chris Garcia and let him know by today. The worship committee is meeting online at 6 p.m. on Tuesday, May 11th. The meeting is open to anyone who's interested in helping put our services together. Please contact Jezebel Anat for information. The next UU Goddess group will meet Thursday in a hybrid meeting on the church patio and online at 6 p.m. In case of rain, they'll meet in the sanctuary. The Zoom link has changed, so contact Jezebel for information. Not quite finally, I'm sorry. The UU Board of Trustees will meet Thursday, May 13th at 6:30 p.m. in a hybrid meeting in the common room and online. Contact Alan George for more information. All church members are welcome to attend. The annual congregational meeting will be held Sunday, June 6th at 1 p.m. as a hybrid meeting, both in the church building and online. More information will be forthcoming. Please check this week's e-announcements for the contact information for these groups and others you may wish to register for. There's also a link to the UUCA calendar that will let you know the activities of the church throughout the month. Now, finally, the church continues in phase 4 of the church's reopening guidelines, permitting larger attendance for any activities to take place in areas such as the sanctuary and the common room. Our current masking and social distancing guidelines are still in effect. Thanks.
Thank you, Natalie. And now we enter into our time of worship. At our Goddess meetings, we create our sacred space by honoring our 4 directions. So I'll begin by lighting our UU chalice, our flame of spirit in its many forms, and then Dee Medley will call the 4 directions.
Spirit of the East, Spirit of air, element of mind and knowledge, bring us your clarity and comprehension. Inspire us with your creativity. We call in Inanna, Queen of Heaven, on Frigga, the All-Mother, and the knowledge of our ancestresses. Hail and welcome. Blessed be. Spirit of the South, Spirit of fire, element of passion and transformation, bring us your warmth and illumination. Challenge us with your energy. We call on Hestia of the earth fire, on Kali Ma, fierce primordial mother, and the courage of our ancestresses. Hail and welcome, blessed be. Spirit of the West, Spirit of water, element of intuition and expression, bring us your fluidity and grace. Nurture us with your compassion. We call on Yemaha, Ocean Mother, on Isis, Goddess of Women, and the wisdom of our ancestresses. Hail and welcome, blessed be. Spirit of the North, Spirit of earth, element of fertility and manifestation, bring us your practicality and endurance. Ground us with your strength. We call on Earth Mother Gaia, flora of the blossoming plants, and the strength of our ancestresses. Hail and welcome, blessed be.
We have called the directions, we have welcomed the goddesses and the ancestresses, and now we focus on our community. Those of you in the sanctuary may notice that in front of the podium, we still have the altar that Denise Traina set up for her son Joey. We performed his memorial service last night. He was a beloved part of our community, and his picture is still over on the wall right over there. So we honor this sorrowing mother, and we send her and her family the best. I will now turn this over to Margaret Tuck of our pastoral care team so that everyone here can share their joys and sorrows.
Good morning. Would those...
And of course, one more for all the mothers. Now I invite you into our time of meditation. Allow your breathing to be very relaxed and deep. Breathe into your center. Relax your body. Allow your feet to be solidly upon the Mother Earth. Head towards the sky so that your spine is long and relaxed. We often find ourselves hunching or putting our bodies in uncomfortable positions when we're sitting, so just be aware and make sure that your body is in a position of comfort and relaxation. Unclench your jaw, lower your shoulders. Allow yourself to be open and aware and grounded, and continue to take some deep breaths. In our meditation, we're looking back to our mother Africa, where humanity originated. And Cheryl Martin will share the poem by Nikki Giovanni called Ego Tripping. And then during our silence, we shall have a video of Ancient Mother and some images of our ancient goddesses. Here's Cheryl.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. I was born in the Congo. I walked to the Fertile Crescent and built the Sphinx. I designed a pyramid so tough that a star that only glows every 100 years fall into the center, giving perfect light. I am bad. I sat on the throne, drinking nectar with Allah. I got hot and sent an ice age to Europe to cool my thirst. My oldest daughter is Nefertiti. The tears from my birth pains created the Nile. I am a beautiful woman. I gazed on the forest and burned out the Sahara Desert. With a packet of goat's meat and a change of clothes, I crossed it in 2 hours. I am a gazelle, so swift you can't catch me. For a birthday present when he was 3, I gave my son Hannibal an elephant. He gave me Rome for Mother's Day. My strength flows ever so. My son Noah built new ark, and I stood proudly at the helm as we sailed on a soft summer day. Pardon. Okay, pardon me one moment, please. Technical glitch, apologies. I turned myself into myself and was Jesus. Men intone my loving name. All praises, all praises. I am the one who would save. I sewed diamonds in my backyard. My bowels deliver uranium. The filing from my fingernails are semi-precious jewels. On a trip north, I caught a cold and blew my nose, giving oil to the Arab world. I am so hip, even my errors are correct. I sailed west to reach east and had to round off the earth as I went. The hair from my head thinned and gold was laid across 3 continents. I am so perfect, so divine, so ethereal, so surreal. I cannot be comprehended except by my permission. I mean, I can fly like a bird in the sky.
Ancient Mother, I hear taste your tears. Ancient Mother, I hear you calling. Ancient Mother, I hear your song. Ancient Mother, I hear your laughter. Ancient Mother, I taste your tears. Ancient Mother, I hear you calling. Ancient Mother, I hear your song. Ancient Mother, I hear your laughter. Ancient Mother, I taste your tears. Ancient Mother, I hear you calling. Ancient Mother, I hear your song. Ancient Mother, I hear your laughter. Ancient Mother, I taste your
Our Mother Earth is generous, and especially in this season, we are enjoying the bounty of flowers and fruits and vegetables and all of the fresh gifts of the earth. And so this church is also part of that generosity as we seek to be a spiritual beacon to our community and a light for social justice. But to sustain that light, as we till the Mother Earth to allow the soil to produce her bounty, we also need your gifts so that our fields may be nourished, so that we may have the generosity to give. So with that, we ask for your financial contributions, as generous as you can. Donation information is on the screen. It will be in the chat. It's in your order of services. And now David Netchis will play the offertory, and Frank will bring the bowls around. Thank you all for your gifts that sustain us and allow us to flourish. And so now I would like to talk a little bit about the Mother Goddess, because there are some people that are still wondering why we need a women's spirituality, and it's because of these centuries of patriarchal religion. Fairly recently, some feminist theologians have found some aspects of the divine feminine within the Jewish and Christian tradition, with the female wisdom figures of Shekinah and Sophia and the role of the women in the early church. But when we look at most of the church, Father, God, Son, Lord, Master, He, all of the masculine attributes. And personally, it never quite resonated. And my first concept of the idea of goddess was actually through a Wonder Woman comic, because in the church services that my family took me to, I envisioned God as this old man up on this big white cloud. And I remember opening a Wonder Woman comic, and there is a goddess on the white cloud. And that blew my 6-year-old mind, because that's a woman up there. And the idea of divinity that could be feminine, that could understand what it was like to be a girl, to be a woman, to have a female body, and to not have the male privileges, was astounding. So I read many, many mythologies, and there are many stories of goddesses, far too many to tell. But several of the aspects that, if I can generalize a little bit, is a concept of female power. And I appreciate that even in the past few decades, women's roles have changed, but during the pandemic, women have suffered inordinately. Many of them have lost their jobs. They have had to take care of their children because we have no child care systems, and we do not have a lot of support for our mothers, for those who are not privileged by their money and position. And it is reminding us of these goddesses, of women being powerful, and not necessarily in a male dominator way, but a power that can be nurturing, that can be compassionate, that is creative, that is the teacher. There are myths of women as the creator of the universe, women who give the gifts of agriculture and weaving and all of the practical necessities that have made our lives so much better through the millennia. Gaia is probably the major embodiment of the great Mother Earth, the sustainer of all. In the Greek mythology, her granddaughter Demeter is the goddess of agriculture, who taught us how to sow the fields and gather the grain and grind them into bread and bake it, so that we had this power to feed ourselves through the plants. And just to briefly tell some of Demeter's story, she has a beautiful daughter, Persephone, who helps her in her work. Persephone is a beautiful dancing maiden who runs among the flowers and puts flowers in her hair and is dancing with her female friends. And Hades, the god of the underworld, kidnaps her. Demeter does not see what happens, but she has lost her daughter. So she is changed from this fertile, beneficent goddess into the sorrowing goddess. And the key for that for a lot of us is understanding the divine as a figure who can suffer and that can understand the mortal suffering. And later in the story, it's discovered that Hades had indeed kidnapped Persephone. She ate of the fruit of the pomegranate, so she spends part of her time in the underworld, part of her time above ground, so that that time in the underworld is the fallow part of the earth, when the goddess is mourning, and when she comes back, which for our season is spring or summer, depending on how far north you live. This is Persephone's return and the return of the growing season as mother and daughter are reunited, which is a beautiful image for Mother's Day and celebrating the bonds of mother and child. But this concept that a very, very powerful goddess can also know pain and is not just this very protected, privileged divine being, but that can understand the suffering of mortals. The Egyptian goddess Isis was specifically a protector of women, and her husband Osiris was killed, so she is also a mourning goddess. And we have certainly seen that in our own lives with our friend Denise Traina and those who have lost families due to COVID. Many of us are mourning now, and many of us are mourning what has happened to the planet. And for a lot of us as women, finding these sources of divine feminine that give us comfort and give us this type of role model and a diversity of expression where instead of one God, one way, many gods, many ways, and there is an interplay of all of these forces and energies into that interconnected web of life. And even women who have said that they might be humanist, but they have felt that the goddess experience, perhaps as an actual spiritual experience or even as metaphor, has appealed to them and provided them comfort and ways of being. So it is this goddess connection that we continue to explore, the connection of women and finding different types of power that are not just of the smiting and you must obey, but powers of love and teaching, and the music and dance that are so much a part of goddess religion. And come and dance with us, and how art is a way of spirituality and ways that people can connect. And certainly the Abrahamic faiths have used some of these techniques as well, but there has also been centuries of persecution, especially with the witch trials, where women have not been valued. And women are now still struggling to reclaim their places in this world and to be honored. And in many societies, the role of the mother was the only role of women, and it was honored. In ancient Rome, for example, when Augustus, the emperor, wanted to increase the birth rate, he granted the rights of men to a woman who had borne 3 children. And the women who did not bear 3 children had to have guardians, and the men managed all their affairs, but if she had the 3 children, then she had the right to manage her own affairs. In the very patriarchal Ottoman Empire, the most powerful woman was not the Sultan's wife, but the Sultan's mother, because the Sultan could have many wives but one mother, and it was the mother who managed many of the affairs of the realm. So there has been many work throughout the centuries of mothers working to take care of their children and get them into positions of power. And there is the aspect of the mother that is not always good. And I remind people on Mother's Day, as we wish people happy Mother's Day and remind them to honor their mothers, to also bear in mind that some people suffered from abusive mothers, and to understand that for some people, their personal mother or grandmother might not have been a source of comfort, but a source of pain. And that is where we invite them to look at the mother goddesses, who nourish all, who can help heal the wounds of those whose own mothers were lacking or abusive or did not nurture them in ways that they needed. And so now we're going to share through video the story of a mother in our congregation. Abigail Drescher is a member of our board, and she had the unique experience of giving birth during the pandemic. So here are some of her thoughts.
All right. As many of you know, I gave birth to my second son in April of 2020. And this was obviously right after the COVID-19 pandemic hit. And I'm a bit of a planner, and I did not factor into giving birth during a global pandemic. That was not part of my birth plan. In the weeks leading up to my birth, I had lots of mixed emotions. I had emotions that I wanted my son to be here with me outside of me so that I could ensure my husband could be with me during the birth. But at the same time, I wanted to keep Rowan inside of me as long as possible to protect him from this crazy world that we sometimes live in. So on several weeks before his due date was April 11th, I wrote him a letter, sort of capturing the time. And I also wrote his older brother one too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read this letter so that you can have a little bit of a capture as to what that was like. So this is dated March 23rd, 2020. Dear Rowan, your due date is still not for several weeks, April 11th, but I think you are about to make your appearance. I am 3 centimeters dilated and I'm very tired. Your Nana and Grandpa are here staying with us until your arrival. They have been a tremendous help taking care of your very energetic older brother, Fox. I decided to write you this letter as the world is in a strange place right now. I hope it is something that you will only read about in your history books and won't have a long-lasting effect on our lives, but only time will tell. In early January, a new type of coronavirus appeared in China. It is now called COVID-19 and has spread throughout the globe and is categorized as a global pandemic. In the past few weeks, it has turned our world and everyday lives upside down. International travel has come to a near halt. The economy is not looking good, and a lot of people have died and will continue to die. As of today, there have been over 330,000 cases worldwide and over 14,000 deaths. The number will rise rapidly over the next several months and year. There have been over 400 deaths in the US. Many governors have issued shelter-in-place orders. Many stores are closed, and we can't leave our house except for outdoor activity, take-out meals, and essential items, grocery, medicine, etc. Daddy and I are working from home. We have had a hard time convincing your Nana and Grandpa to stay inside. I worry most about Nana getting the virus as she has lung issues. This virus has also changed the way we anticipated bringing you into the world. I had envisioned going into labor naturally whenever you decided to come, surrounded by your father with Nana and Grandpa watching Fox at home, and all of us being reunited at the hospital after you arrived. Due to the virus, Fox, Nana, and Grandpa will be unable to come to the hospital. I need you to make your appearance soon to ensure that your father can be with me when you arrive, and so that you will be wrapped safely in my arms after you are born. If your father or I get sick, it could change things drastically. I really hope you come soon, baby boy. However, even with all this uncertainty, there are a few things I know for sure. You will be forever loved by myself, your father, and our whole family. The country and world will overcome this situation one way or another. I also know that your big brother is very excited to meet you and share all his toys with you. Just be glad he didn't get to name you, or your name might have been Peach, Dragon, or Chooch. I can't wait to meet you. I love you, and you're my favorite boy in the whole world named Rowan. Love, Mommy. Well, I never knew, what 2020 was going to bring, or what the first year of Rowan's life would really look like. I really learned in 2020 and that first year of Rowan's life how strong I was and am as a mother. Shortly, Rowan was 4 months old and Chris got COVID, and I was left to watch both of the 4-month-old and Fox all by myself while he was in self-isolation in our house, which was one of the most trying things I've ever done as a mother. But we came out stronger as a family, and in the end, I got to spend more time with Rowan at home than maybe I would have without the pandemic. So there have been a few silver linings. So it was hard, but we did it, and we came out, and we're here now in April of 2021. And it's about to be Mother's Day. It is Mother's Day.
And so at the heart of goddess spirituality is the honoring of women's choices, the honoring of mothers, of all the many roles that women do, and also reminding us that there are some women who may choose not to have children and their choices need to be respected. Or some of us are mothers of cats and other beings that also require love and care and nurturing. And many also nurture children that are not their own. So it is this diversity of choice now that we celebrate, and to remind all of the women to continue in their quest for freedom and empowerment. And here is David to introduce our closing hymn.
Our closing hymn today is number 1026, If Every Woman in the World, and we are led by Patricia Childs. Please sing along at home.
If every woman in the world had her mind set on freedom, of love, there would be no more war.
So in closing, we recognize our rich goddess heritage, the contributions of our ancestresses. And now as we thank the four directions for their guidance, their blessings, go in peace, go in love. And we remind all of you to keep this love in your hearts. We now extinguish our chalice of community and invite you to carry our flame out into the world. Blessed be. Namaste.
Spirit of love, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the streams of compassion, blowing the wind, rising the sea. In the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Road toward me goes, wings setting free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Nothing to bring up.